Welcome to Power Women of the Trades podcast. This show is all about breaking barriers and changing the game. Our guests will feature some of today's most successful female entrepreneurs and other advocates of our industry as well. Because if there's one thing we know for sure, female-led entrepreneurship drives change on multiple levels. We want to empower women in the trade industry like you so you can maximize your potential, stay balanced, achieve long-term success, and claim ownership over your life. Let's get started.
Snowden, I am so excited to talk to you today.
So I'm really excited to talk to you about, I was reading about I need to buy your book, The Stress Express, 15 Instant Stress Relievers, like probably as soon as we're done with this conversation. And it's funny how sometimes when we record our podcast, how fitting the conversation is into our life. Like I'm coming off probably one of the most stressful mornings of my life. I've been awake for 3 hours and it has been nothing but absolute stress and nothing to do with my job.
Well, and before you came on, Cassie was tapping. She was doing the tapping exercise you do around your heart. And she was telling me, she goes, Leslie, do this. And I'm like, okay. And
it's like, I'm not stressed about anything that has to do with a job. I had a very, very stressful morning with one of my kids, and he is just in a really tough spot, and he's at that age where life is just getting stressful. You know, he's a teenager, and you know how it goes. And it was like, I drive an hour and a half here to podcast, and the whole conversation, Kaylee was with me in the car. She had to hear me like counseling my child, getting other parents involved, like things. And it's just like, it's been a really stressful morning. And I know a lot of our listeners can relate to that because we are business owners, but we're also parents and we're going through the things. So then whenever we talked to you previously. I knew we were going to chat with you, but then I read like your newest book, Stress Express, 15 Instant Stress Reliefs. I was like, okay, this is actually what I need to talk about today. So can you tell us a little bit about that book and like what inspired you to write the book? And
well, you know, I work with women. I love coaching women and I speak to women, and we are stressed. You know, women are at an all-time high for stress. COVID didn't help. Mm-hmm. COVID set us way back. Over 3 million women left the workforce, and they have not returned in the traditional ways. Many of them have started businesses, but a lot of them are still taking care of their kids. Mm-hmm. And exactly what you just described, you know, parenting is not easy. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing I'm going to suggest right now is both of you just close your eyes for a second and just put your hands on your lower belly and take a big, huge, deep breath. And hold it, and then let it out. And then do that again. Fill up that lower belly, hold it, and let it out. Your breath is the seed of your power. Ooh. And so for all of us, and you can open your eyes, for all of us right now in the moment, anytime you're having a stressful situation, getting in touch with your breath and your heart is going to be so important to shift, because it just slows everything down. It brings us inside. It helps us let go. And we have more energy available to us, because when we're stressed, we breathe from our chest and not our belly. And our belly is where the strength is for the breath. So that's one of the first things I'm going to share with you, is just take the time to breathe. And that's true for everybody. Whatever they get stressed out about, breath is going to be one of your keys.
Taking the time to breathe.
And I was just writing. Go ahead.
Taking the time to breathe, I think, is hard for me. But like I also, and I hope this, like when our listeners listen, they just like do that exercise, because it literally just changed my mood. I am really emotional. It's going to be a tough day for me today, just going through everything that I went through this morning with my kid, that I've just have compacted, and like I haven't even had time to process some of the things, and I came right into this day, and I'm super excited. I think it was a blessing that you were our first recording, because I needed to be able to be reset. But I hope this serves as a reminder to everyone listening too, that like everyday life is still everyday life, you know, like you're a business owner or you're working in this industry, you're working out in the field, we talk to a lot of, our listeners who work in the field every day, and maybe you're under a house doing plumbing, or you're working on a condenser and your kid is still melting down, and you have to figure out how to handle that while you're still working, because it doesn't matter that, yes, we want to advocate for women in the trades, but we're still moms.
Well, and I also want to add, we want to advocate for men in the trades who are taught not to talk about their emotions or breathing. And so they're constantly in a reactionary state. I mean, I think there's definitely an epidemic of men who are not able or have not been taught to talk about mental health, whereas women are just more naturally communicating their needs and stressors and things like that.
Well, I think that's because of our emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
You know, our intuition, our emotional intelligence, we're more in touch with our emotions. It enables us to work better with people, with our clients, to provide better services. And, you know, you just expressed as a mom how you were feeling and all the things that were going on with you. And, you know, I'm sending you a great big virtual hug. And I think that's one of the things that women can do, is our empathy enables us to connect with people, and it makes us stronger in every aspect of our lives. But, you know, the bottom line is, at the end of your life, nobody says, gee, I work more. It's the people, it's the relationships. And that's what women are great at relationships. And your son will get through whatever he's going through, and you will. And he will remember that you were there for him. Yeah. No matter how it went down, he will remember that you were there for him.
The whole time I'm sitting here thinking, like, how often does this happen? Not just like with myself, but like my friends. And, you know, I've talked to Leslie when she's had a rough morning, but we're expected to just like turn it off and then like forget that happened and carry on with our day, because we have all these other people that are waiting for us and expecting us. And I think that, you know, it's reminded me to give myself a little grace and give my head space a little bit of grace, because, you know, it's okay to have a little bit of a meltdown. I was talking to actually someone yesterday. She's a doctor, and she's I know her from a different time of my life, but I saw her in person yesterday, and she was telling me about how her car got broken into, and then her garage got broken into, and she's really like a high profile doctor in our area, and she's a busy, like strong-minded, strong-headed person. And she was telling me, and as she was telling me the story, she was like, and I was talking to the police officer, and she wanted to say, and I was crying, but it's like she didn't want anyone to know that she was crying, because her persona is not that. And it's like, in the moment, I thought to myself, like, she's trying to tell me she didn't cry. And how often do we do that? Of like, as women, like, we can't let someone see that emotion out of us. We're not supposed to be that way. Or if we are, we're too emotional or whatever. So we just like hide it. But it is, right. That is who we are.
It comes out later on. It comes out later on. You know, a really powerful tool and technique for women to help with their emotions, and this might be great for you after you get off our call, is to just take a piece of paper and write nonstop everything that you're thinking. Even if you say, oh, this is a stupid exercise that Snowden gave me, and you just keep writing, and then you tear it up and burn it. You don't read it. You just get the emotion out of you. It's very powerful. It's a great way to cope with all that emotion before you have to go into your next, you know, meeting or get under the ground or do the next electrical or the next installation. It just helps you get it out of you, because that's the thing.
Well, and isn't there... So I actually had a counselor tell me that once, and what that does, and it's actually something that I have my little girls do when they're feeling these big emotions, is if you write it, it takes it to the front. Is it your frontal lobe? And you are able to process it out of your body. So it's no longer marinating inside your body. And it's like you can process through that. And it sounds so simple. Like, why does writing this down help? But it really does help process through. It helps you process through that feeling and emotion. And you kind of get a fresh start. you know?
Absolutely. You know, the simplest things, I mean, this book, some of the stress relievers are super simple things that you wouldn't think about. So, for example, water. You need to drink half your body weight in ounces in water a day. And here's why.
I struggle so much drinking water. I always joke. Cassie always usually has a huge water bottle, and I'm usually drinking a Coke. And today I must have known because I actually brought water.
I was shocked when I saw her drinking that. I thought it was a protein shake at first. And then when I looked at it, it was water, and I about fell out of my chair. She always has a Coke. But yes, water is important.
5% drop in your water in your body, you have a 25 to 30% drop in energy.
Oh my
so
God.
like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, if you're getting tired, instead of going for a candy bar or a Coke, which I hate to tell you, but it's terrible for you, is drink water. You're dehydrated. You need water.
I can literally feel whenever, like, because I carry my drink everywhere, and if I don't have this drink, you know, everyone was like the Stanley cup and whatever. I don't care how you have it. If I don't have a cup with me, I won't drink it. And so if I forget my cup, I'm really off. But if I haven't had enough water in the afternoon, I swear.
But nobody knows if that's really water. That could be vodka.
It probably should be vodka.
Nobody knows what's in that cup.
But I swear I can feel my brain. I always say I feel like my brain's drying up right now. And I don't know if I know that's not like actually what it is, but it's like I start getting cloudy. My brain starts getting foggy feeling. And because I haven't had enough water, but because I drink so much water now, it's like my body knows when, girl, you haven't had enough water today.
Well,
girl,
actually,
drink your water.
It's true because your back, you know, the connecting tissue between your spinal cord and in your back, if you don't have enough water, it starts scratching against itself and it creates massive pain in your body. So it is so important. A 15% drop in water and you're dead.
Oh, wow.
That's how important water is.
Okay, fine. Fine.
You'll switch it. Another easy thing is laughter. You know, we're doing that right now. A good belly laugh is worth 45 minutes of stress relief.
Oh, wow.
I love that. I love when you get to laugh so hard you cry. I love that kind of laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good for you. It's so good for you. So listen to comics when you're driving. You know, program it in so that you can watch different things that make you laugh that are funny. Watch funny cat videos. Those are some of the most popular on YouTube. So that's one of the other ways, simple ways to get rid of stress.
How do you feel like you got so
smart about this stuff?
Like trained, like what led you to have such knowledge of this stuff?
Because I almost burned out myself. Okay. You know, I was on the edge of burnout and I learned the hard way. And, you know, you can get so excited about your life and your work and your family and all the things going on. And I do a lot of community service. You can get so wrapped up in all that you forget to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things that happened to me. And so I learned the hard way. And that's how most of us sadly learn, is the hard way. And so I started doing all this research. I've been researching stress for over 15 years and all these different tools and techniques to try and relieve stress. And it's a whole lot easier than we think. So, for example, ladies, when's the last time you all went on vacation?
Oh, well,
last
weekend.
Yeah, but was mine a vacation? Mine was Disney World. And respectfully.
Oh, for real. We have little kids. So it's like when we take vacation, and our family is all about travel, it's a little bit different with little kids.
We call it a trip.
Yeah.
A trip is with kids and a vacation is with adults. Because when you're with kids, like, I have to make sure that they stay alive and not kidnapped.
Especially
and
in Disney World.
And in Disney World. And then Leslie's like, don't start looking up Underground Disney on TikTok. And then I'm like, okay, so I look up Underground Disney on TikTok. And then I'm you know, so there's so many things, but but you're right. Like, I know, like, so at church on Sunday, our worship leader stood up and he said, some of you may have noticed that I was gone for a couple weeks, and everyone was like, where's Ty? Where's Ty? You know, and you know how it goes. The worship leader's gone for 2 weeks and everyone's like, oh, he got fired or he quit or something, right? And he's like, I'm here. He said, but since I guess in the past 5 years, he had not had any time off that wasn't related to COVID or having a baby. And so even being, he works full time for the church, and, you know, everyone at, you know, the church or church goers think that, oh, they don't need time off. Well, they do, because it's still, they're on all the time. They're serving all the time. And so he's like, I just needed a couple Sundays to where I didn't have any responsibilities. I didn't, you know, wasn't singing 3 services this weekend, and he just needed to reset, and he needed to reset because he was capable of it, not because I had a new baby and I'm taking care of a new baby. It was like I had nothing else happening. And the whole time he's sitting in there talking about that, it was like, I felt like God was speaking to me in that moment, because I was like, girl, if you could see my October schedule,
your schedule, stressful.
My schedule for October, and we're supposed to be moving into our brand new house in October. I'm traveling 5 days next week. I'm traveling at the end of the month for a speaking engagement. My 20-year high school reunions this month. Like, October is done, and it hasn't even started for me. And I thought, but then I'm just coming off the Disney World trip. I'm supposed to have surgery by the end of the year. And I just thought, when would I have a break? You know, we do that to ourselves.
Well, you do that to yourself.
You just illustrated is how busy and how crazy we get. So a couple suggestions for you. The first one is ask for help, because moving is super stressful. I did it. We just built a new house a year ago, and I did it, and it's so stressful. It takes an enormous amount of energy. It's one of the top 5 stressors, right up there with the divorce and terminal illness. So ask for help, start saying no more. And really try, when you're traveling next week, try in the evenings to take care of yourself, to have little spa nights, get massages, just be quiet, do some prayer and meditation. Prayer and meditation is a great stress reliever. You know, those are connecting with God, connecting with a greater sense of yourself, greater sense of purpose, and deep breathing and that meditation and just going inside of yourself. You can let go of a mountain of stress in just 10 minutes of that prayer and meditation. It's so important.
I think we need to redo our schedule for next week.
It's funny.
Literally, so we're going to a conference that a part of a best practice group we're a part of, and I'm going for 2 days, and it's literally just a podcast. But Tuesday, what are we podcasting from 9 to 9? Like something insane and
something crazy, because and I don't want to say because, but Leslie can't, I'm there for 5 days. So we could have spread it out, but she really can't commit to the 5 days. So we try to just like compact it in. But by doing that, it's serving both of us, but also probably
do we have breaks?
Stress us out.
Do we have breaks?
Yeah, we have some breaks.
Okay.
But
so we can take some walks.
Yeah. Leslie's a walker, which I try to like, especially when we podcast.
I can't be marinating in my mind for too long. That's why I'm always moving. It's really hard for me to sit because I have to move. I feel trapped if I don't.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, first of all, exercise is absolutely the best stress reliever in the world. I mean, all the top mental health people in the world talk about exercise. It's the best thing you can do. You can do what's called moving meditation, and that is just walking fast and just letting your mind just, notice nature, notice moments of awe, notice the beauty that you see around you. That will immediatally relieve your stress.
See, I've already been doing that, Cassie. I'm trying to get you along for the ride.
She has, we'll be podcasting. We podcast in the studio, and we'll go for the whole day. And she'll be like, okay, it's time for us to walk. And I'm like, I wanted to catch up on my cell phone and my emails. And instead, I'll go walking and I'll catch up on my cell phone and my emails while we're walking. But it is helpful to just reset the brain and the mind. And it's very interesting.
I'd let go of the cell phone and the emails and all that, because that's high stress.
It is.
One of the other big things, put your phone not anywhere near your bed when you go to sleep at night. Sleep is number one that I recommend to people after vacation as far as stress. If you get less than 7 hours of sleep a night, it's a carcinogen. It causes cancer.
Amen.
You get less than 6 hours a night, you're much more likely to have an accident and to have Alzheimer's, because your brain needs the sleep to clean the toxins out.
Wow.
So Really, really important to prioritize sleep.
I'm getting attacked over here.
Near your brain.
I'm not
Pardon
getting.
me?
I said I'm getting attacked over here. I'm not getting attacked. I was joking.
No,
I know.
I'm trying to support you and
I
help
know.
you.
I'm just joking. But I'm joking because it's like everything you're saying is literally like what I'm doing to myself in my life right now.
Well, you know, it's so funny is so I started tracking my sleep in May and I got the Aura ring. And so now one change I have made since May is prioritizing my sleep, because I realized probably for the past 10 years, I knew something was wrong emotionally, but I thought it was like just normal depression, anxiety, because that's something I've always struggled with. Well, back in May, I was like, I'm going to prioritize my sleep. And I started tracking it. And I've started tracking my heart rate when I'm sleeping. I think it's the biggest change that I've had in my health positively in my whole life that I can actually have a metric to. Because at first I was trying to do it with my Fitbit, but it doesn't give you quite as accurate information. And I got this ring that's like a little robot, but it tracks my heart rate. And what I have learned is your heart rate has to get lower than your base heart rate, which is different for everyone, for 6 hours while you sleep, so your body will recover. So you could be getting 9 hours of what's considered optimal sleep, but if your heart rate doesn't get lower than your base, your body doesn't recover. It's been life-changing for me.
Literally this morning, there's so much that's relating to me right now with this. Like you were actually booked just to give me a pep talk.
So.
But I woke up this morning. Yes, it is. I woke up this morning because we normally start a little bit later, but our schedule shifted today, and so I had to leave Tulsa sooner or much earlier. And so I picked Kaylee up from the office at 7 a.m. So I've been up for a while, more earlier than normal. And so when I woke up, I was getting ready. My husband was getting ready. We don't do great talking to each other in the morning because, you know, he's grumpy. I don't wake up so grumpy, but he's, you know, still waking up. And so we don't talk a ton. But I literally said, I just wish, or I said, I wonder what it's like to get a solid night's sleep for multiple days in a row. Like, what is it like to not wake up 6 times a night? Because we both like, and he said, I know, because I've noticed that you might be sleeping very well, and then I wake up and then I accidentally wake you up, or you do the same. And then we constantly do that all night long. And then it's like, oh, now we're awake. It's time for the day.
Yes, and that's why sometimes couples sleep in separate rooms for a while.
We are sleeping in separate rooms right now.
To help that?
Yeah, well, there's a couple reasons. So I have 2 elderly dogs that have always slept with us, and one of them coughs all night because she has heart failure. And then Brent snores, but also has a CPAP. So I wanted to test this theory, and we've been sleeping in separate rooms. And I didn't say that because people think it's crazy. It's really not crazy. I have been I'm telling you, you can ask my husband. He's like, I can tell you're a different person now when you get consistent quality sleep. It's like I'm a totally different person.
Wow.
That's right. Yeah. A third of the population sleeps in separate beds.
Yeah.
I know that would not work for me because, like, when Oscar's out of town, I don't sleep at all. So I know that he has to. But I remember when I was younger, I had a couple of friends that their parents had separate rooms, and I always thought that was so random. But
now you know why. One of them snores.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that sleep is important. So I'm glad that it's being more of a priority for you, because it really does make a huge difference. And your clarity, your ability to work, your ability to deal with your children, your overall health is so much better. I mean, sleep is just critical. And make sure you don't have a blue light thing in your bedroom, like a blue light alarm clock or computers or iPads or phones, anything near your head. None of that in the bedroom. That should all be put in another room, because that electromagnetic frequency will mess with your sleep during the night.
You know, I've read that. But my problem is something that, because my mind is on a constant loop and spinning, something that helps me fall asleep is I listen to a podcast, or there's a couple of podcasts I really like, and books. And it's almost like I have to do that so my mind will stop trying to think, and I'll fall asleep.
Do you have a bedside table?
Yeah. Yeah.
So after you're done, throw the phone or whatever you're listening to in the bedside table and close it so that it's not right next to your head. Because there's so many people getting, I said this at a speech that I gave not too long ago. And this one guy came up to me afterwards and he said, "Oh my God, my wife and I have our phones, our iPads, our laptops right next to us in the bedroom." And I said, "Stop that. You know, that's so dangerous."
Yes.
So it messes with your sleep.
Yeah. I've read that. Your body absorbs all that like that. What is it? The
electromagnetic.
Yeah,
frequency.
your body absorbs that.
Yeah, it does. And it interferes with everything.
So,
but this is great because you are already seeing the things that you can change. They're not that hard to make these changes. It's just awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that we were talking, and we kind of touched on a little bit, is one of the things you talk about, and you have a book, From Burnout to Fired Up, Empowering Women in Business. What do you think causes the most burnout? I know that's a loaded question, but
especially for high achievers and task-oriented people.
Not saying no.
Yeah.
Not saying no. And you look at your schedule next week. It's a perfect example. You're both high achievers. You're both getting tremendous things done. And you've got this day scheduled from 9 to 9. And hopefully you'll go for walks. But you're going to be fried at the end of that day. I was just coaching a woman this morning who is trying to have me work with her more, and she said, "I've only got 15 minutes of time this week to talk to you." That's insane. And she's going into a higher level position, and she's got children, and she's got a husband who's dying, and she only has 15 minutes in her life
that makes my
for
heart
herself.
hurt.
That's insane.
Okay, so
and I told her that I was worried about her and
burn it. Yeah. So I can only imagine what your schedule looks like, because you are a speaker, a coach, you have an advertising company, right? And then you're doing all these things. You go to events and you speak. So how do you prioritize your schedule to allow yourself the time?
So here's the first thing is my husband's doing the ad agency now. So I set that aside, and he's doing that because he's a digital marketer and he does conversion rate optimization. So he's doing that. So that's the first thing. So I'm focused on one company.
Okay.
And with 6 books and speaking and coaching, yes, it is tricky, but I make myself a priority. So I use time blocking.
Okay.
Where I block out time in my calendar for me.
Okay.
For thinking time, for marketing time, for creative time. So that, and for me to learn. I mean, I'm a lifelong learner, so I'm always taking courses. I have a coach. I always recommend that, professional women get coaches. Women who are working in their businesses, they've got to have somebody from outside give you objectivity and tell you really what the truth is about your life. So I prioritize those things. I time block. And I'm learning to say no. I'm on several boards because I do a lot of community service work. I'm resigning from one of those boards at the end of December. It's like, I'm done with that. I need to move on. I want to prioritize helping. We have a real problem with racism where I live, and I want to do work for that. There's a great organization here that's doing great things in the community. So I really want to help there. So you get really, and the other thing is you focus on what fills your heart.
Yeah.
To me, when I'm working with women and helping them go to the next level, get over their stress, helping them be more confident speakers, helping them earn more money, that fills me up because I know that they're going to then invest in their families, they're going to invest in their communities, and it's going to trickle down to the people who work for them.
Yeah.
That fills me up.
So I think this, I think so, like the same thing for me, like whenever, my schedule next week is really crazy, but the podcast fills me up, because I know that maybe it doesn't always look Leslie because we do handle things differently. But like for me, we'll come off of such an amazing conversation like this conversation, right? And we're going to be amped.
Yeah.
Right. And then some conversations aren't always that great, or aren't always. But at the end of the day, even if it's exhausting, and we used to be like in this studio, we used to be up against a dark wall and it seemed more dungeon-like, and we changed it to fit more of our vibe to where it was just a better setup for us.
Right.
But there are days that we leave and we're like, oh my gosh, it was such a long day. But there, a lot of times it's like, once we like get out of the headspace of it being a long day, we both will like, remember when so-and-so said this and so-and-so said that, like this fills me up. But from the outside, we're going to podcast on Tuesday for like 12 hours and that's going to be crazy. But when we come off of that, even though we're going to be exhausted and tired, there's going to be so much that's going to speak to us in those 12 hours that I'm super excited about. But you know, from the outside, it's like, you don't ever give yourself a break. You don't do this. And, you know, I know some people that volunteer for boards and do things like that to give back, and that's their me time, where some people are like, how can you do that? You need more. Some people, I can't, like, I'm not a bathtub girl. Like, I wish I was. Well, if I was in the bathtub, I sit there and I look at the ceiling and I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do now?
I didn't know you were about to say that. That was funny. I didn't know.
So one of the things I want you to be mindful of, and everybody who's watching and listening, you know, your self-talk has a lot to do with your stress levels too.
Ooh.
So being kind to yourself and affirming to yourself all the things that you're doing right. You know, one of the techniques I use with my clients is I have them write down 10 successes they had that day. And sometimes the success is getting out of bed because you didn't want to.
Amen.
That's the first success. Everything you do, every phone call you make, every meal you make for a child, every drive, every errand you run, every email you send, that's a success. It's something you intended to do and you do it. We're so hard on ourselves as women. And I've heard a little bit of that this morning. So be kind to ourselves. And I'm the worst at it. I'm so critical of myself and I have to really constantly work on it. So I've been doing this daily success thing for over 30 years. I learned it from a seminar called Technologies for Creating, and it's powerful because at the end of the year, even if you didn't do all 365 days, I look back on that book and I went, wow, I get things done. I'm effective. I grew up in a violent alcoholic family. I had very low self-esteem. I did not believe in myself. And this book, this technique helped me to believe in myself. And I still do it to this day because I'm so busy that if I don't remember what I got done during the day. And I need to give myself that credit, and it helps me sleep. So there's something that might be useful.
What is that called that you said you do every day? It's a
daily success list.
Okay.
List 10 things that you have achieved that day, whether it's got out of bed or made breakfast, whatever, phone call, did amazing, you know, if you landed a big deal, whatever. It's your brain perceives it the same because you accomplished it. You completed it. The brain craves completion.
That is
it reminds me of is it like
I'm going to implement that with my 11-year-old
is it
daughter.
Yeah, she'll love it.
5-5-20. Do you know what that is? Five gratitudes, 5 minutes of something, and I can't remember what it is. Nick Sar taught us that, which they've got from someone else, but it's the 5-5-20, 5 gratitudes, 5
I don't know.
Something. I don't know. I'm going to have to look it up. But obviously, I didn't do it.
Well, I do. I also write down 3 new things that I'm grateful for every night.
Ooh.
And that comes out of research out of Harvard, the happiness advantage, Sean Aker. When you do that, your brain actively looks for new things to be grateful for. It should be different things every day. And so your brain throughout the day starts looking for things to be grateful for. And that shifts your attitude. It helps you feel so much better about your life because you have so much to be grateful for. Even when you're crazy busy, gratitude shifts the heart. Gratitude is a great thing to do. A gratitude list is a great thing to do when you're feeling tight on money.
Creates new neural pathways in your brain.
That's exactly
because we can change our brain.
Wow. Well,
every day you can change it.
Snowden, we want to be respectful of your time because you do time block, and I know that we are running out of that time block.
We have a minute
for the
and 20
day.
Seconds left.
But I think we definitely need to tell Rita to get you booked again because I think we are going to have you back on. And so
much goodness. I mean, these are the types of shows that I feel like really feed my soul because so often we just get into talking about, I mean, a lot of things in our business are regurgitated information, but this is really the thing I feel like our listeners especially, it resonates with them because we're all looking for ways to feel better and to understand what's going on around us. And it just like small things where you're talking about breath work or journaling. I mean, those are just really small little nuggets that we can all do every day.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give your listeners something free. I do have a tip sheet, the top 10 stress relievers.
Okay.
I want it too.
And they could just send me an email at connect, CONNECT, at firedupnow.com, FIREDUPNOW.com. And that's a quick, it's super quick, few pages, but it will give them some stress reliever help. And it's a little bit different than the book. So,
awesome.
But that's just a free tip sheet.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
That, everyone checks that out. And again, thank you so much for being on with us today. And we hope to catch up with you sometime soon again. And thanks for helping me reframe my mind for today.
Thank you so much, Snowden.
Have an awesome week next week, ladies. It was my pleasure.
You too. Thank you.
This has been Power Women of the Trades. Like what you hear so far? Leave us a review at Apple and make sure to listen to our other episodes wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.